Hey, what if I told you that you've already had hundreds of conversations with an artificial intelligence today? We're about to pull back the curtain on the AI that's all around you, hiding in plain sight. And by the end of this, you'll see it's not some kind of science fiction. It's actually much simpler. It's a pattern spotter. Okay, let's just start with a fact that might sound a little bit wild. You've had dozens, maybe even hundreds of tiny conversations with an AI, and that's just in the last 24 hours. And the reason you're probably shaking your head right now, it's because you didn't even know it was happening. These AI interactions are woven so perfectly into our daily lives that, we just don't even notice them. So let's do this. Let's pull back that curtain and go on a little scavenger hunt. We're going to find your invisible AI assistant starting from the moment you wake up. Think about the last text you sent. You know that little suggestion that pops up trying to finish your sentence for you? That's it. That's an AI that has learned the patterns from billions of texts to predict what you're probably going to say next. Or how about your email? How does it magically sort all that junk from the important stuff? Well, it's an AI, and it's scanning for patterns it's been taught to recognize. Things like urgent language, weird links, or suspicious senders, all the classic signs of spam. And when you use a map app, it's not just finding the shortest route. It's using AI to analyze real-time traffic, spot all the congestion patterns, and then predict the single fastest path for you right this second. Even when you're just trying to relax at night, that show your streaming service recommends, that's not a guess. It's an AI that's analyzed the viewing patterns of millions of people to predict exactly what you are going to want to watch next. In every case, it's just spotting patterns. All right, let's get into the big one, because this is where most of the confusion really comes from. We have got to separate the Hollywood fantasy of AI from what it actually is in reality. When we hear AI, our minds jump straight to the movies, right? We think of conscious robots, evil digital overlords, but the reality, at least for now, is so much less dramatic. It's software. It's statistics. At its absolute core, AI is just very powerful math designed to do one thing and one thing only: spot patterns in data. And this brings us to the single most important definition in this entire explainer. So if you remember one thing, make it this. AI is simply software that's been trained on tons of examples to spot patterns and make useful predictions. That is it. It's not magic, and it's not conscious. So how does this software actually learn these patterns? This part is fascinating because it's not like old school programming where a human writes every single rule. It's much more intuitive. Honestly, it's a lot more like teaching. In fact, the absolute best way to understand this whole complex process of machine learning is just forget the machine for a second. Instead, just think about how you teach a small child something new. Okay, imagine teaching a kid to recognize a dog. First, you show them a bunch of examples. This is a dog, this is not a dog. Then they make a guess. They see a cat and ask, "Dog?" Then you correct the mistake. "Nope, that's a cat." You repeat this enough times and the kid starts to see the underlying pattern of what makes something a dog. Well, that is exactly how we train an AI, with examples, guesses, and corrections, just on a massive, massive scale. So, understanding this teaching process reveals AI's biggest limitation right now. See, every single AI you have ever used is what we call narrow AI. The best way to think of it is as a brilliant but incredibly focused hyper-specialist. And this slide just lays out the consequences perfectly. The AI that unlocks your phone is a genius at recognizing your face, but it can't spell check a sentence to save its life. The AI that can beat a chess grandmaster has no idea how to play a simple game of checkers. And the AI that translates languages can't recognize a single face in a photo. They are brilliant at one task and completely, utterly clueless about everything else. This is so important to grasp. The idea of a general AI, a single system with the broad, flexible intelligence of a human, that is still pure science fiction. It does not exist today. What we actually have are thousands and thousands of these very narrow specialists, each one staying in its own lane. And that leads us to the most important mental shift we can possibly make. We have to stop thinking of AI as some magical, all-knowing force. It's not. It is a tool. An incredibly powerful tool, yes, but at the end of the day, it's just a tool. And hey, because this tool is so powerful, it's completely normal to have serious questions. Will it take my job? What does it know about me? Who's in control? These are not silly fears. They are absolutely the right questions to be asking about any new powerful technology. And this quote right here, it frames it perfectly. The best way to think about AI is as a foundational technology, kind of like electricity or the internet. On their own, they aren't good or evil. They're powerful tools that require our guidance. They need rules, they need oversight from us to make sure they're being used for good. So, after all that, what's the real takeaway here? Well, I want to leave you with one simple question that is going to change how you see the technology you use every single day. Try this, seriously. The very next time you see a recommendation, get a suggested text, or use any smart feature on an app, just pause for a second and ask yourself, okay, what patterns did it learn, and what is it trying to predict about me right now? The moment you ask that question, the magic just vanishes, and you start to see the simple machine working underneath. And seeing that machine, that is the first step to truly understanding the world we're all living in.